Again, steals the headlines away from little Kyron, who is missing by allegedly trying to hire a hitman to kill her husband. It's exactly what Kyron's parents don't want to happen. They want the attention to stay on finding Kyron. Jim, Oregon, thanks for your patience. Your question, your thoughts, sir.
Yeah, I just find it really strange that Terry Horman, the stepmother, originally was a friend of the family and came in as a caregiver when the mother was sick. She ends up stealing the husband away, and now 6 years later, she thinks he's having an affair, so she tries to have him killed. I mean, the lady's a loon.
Well, when you say the word loon, I always think of Dr. Dale Archer, psychiatrist, but I have to say, we attempted to reach Terry Horman's attorney, and we also attempted to reach authorities about these published reports, and we haven't heard back. And Terry and her attorney have a standing invitation to come on this show and tell their side. We want to be fair. Dr. Dale Archer, here's my big issue tonight. Target Kane. If Terry Horman hated her husband enough to allegedly hire a hitman, could, and I say could, hypothetically speaking, the ultimate revenge be harming his beloved son, Kyron? I mean, you can imagine this woman is home with 3 kids, thinking her husband's cheating, which has never been proved, and the pressure builds. What about this theory, Dr. Dale, that the best way to get back at your spouse is to kill the progeny?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. You know, murder for hire is the worst crime imaginable. I think all of us can understand murder that takes place as a crime of passion. In the heat of the moment, you lose your temper, you go too far. But in murder for hire, you got to decide, who do you trust to get to do it? How do they do it? Where are you going to be when it happens? How do you keep from getting caught? And you're thinking about all this with somebody you have a relationship with. So I think anyone who does it is pure, unadulterated evil. And I think anyone who would do that, then any heinous crime you can imagine would be on the table. And of course, if that failed, as it sounds like it did, then going after the son could have been an easier option.
Rod Wheeler, you're the former homicide detective. Why is she still not listed as a suspect or even a person of interest, and there has been absolutely no arrest here?
Well, that's an excellent question, Jane. First of all, she is a person of interest, even though the cops may have not said that. But it's important that we don't jump to so many conclusions. I've heard so many conclusions and all these investigators out there with their theories. The point here, Jane, with this case is that we have to still focus on the fact that Kyron still may be alive. And you have to focus on the fact, where could he be, and whether or not, if Terry did something to this child, who worked with her? Because whatever happened to this kid, Terry didn't do it by him or herself. So I think it's important that we look at the big picture and not so much develop what we call tunnel vision and only focus on Terry.
A reporter confronted the local sheriff over the weekend, and the sheriff made it sound like something big is about to happen in this case. Let's listen and then analyze.
I've got to make a lot of decisions this coming week. And so it's going to be based on what the briefings are and what comes out of the course of the investigation between now and the end of this coming week.
Pat Brown, read between the lines. What is the sheriff waiting for?
Well, I think that, Jane, that he's deciding whether to make an arrest of Terry Horman. I think he's trying to figure out if he's got probable cause to do it, whether all this information, all the stuff he's got going is actually enough without a body of the child or actually knowing what happened to him. I think that's what we're really waiting for. I want to comment on the caller. You know, it's very confusing when you see behavior like this. She's not a loon. If she actually did knock off her stepson or do something to him, and if she did have a murder for hire for her husband, and we're seeing psychopathy all over the place here. Even back to when she took that child into her life, she might have been looking for attention. Let me take care of the baby. Look at me, I'm doing this. And then she's, you know, when she gets fed up with her husband or she's annoyed with him, that's something else she wants to do. Maybe she wants to get rid of the son because she wants to be in a big CSI drama because she loves CSI. We don't really know because psychopaths have lots of reasons for doing things, and they're not always the reasons we would pick.
Pat, we don't have probable cause.
Mark Eiglarsh, she's now lawyered up, and presumably her attorney has said not talk. Do not talk. But that's also another way of saying don't cooperate with authorities. I mean, if she's innocent, maybe she should talk and clear up this mess.
Not necessarily. There are plenty of people, for many reasons, who choose to get an attorney, which I recommend, when law enforcement comes a knocking, and that's what I recommend. Let me say this, merely because they're not calling her a suspect doesn't mean anything. She's the only one, I think, on the #1 spot on their radar. She has every reason to get an attorney by her side. I told you last week that there was probably more to this, that it wasn't just about her the child gone missing, that she was probably lying for some other reason. And if this is true, we don't know that it is, but if it's true, obviously there's murder for hire plot as to reasons why she might be lying.
Nancy, Pennsylvania, your question or thought, ma'am?
Yes, Jane, I have a theory. I actually think that the reason that Terry Horman is involved in all this, we know the thing about, she did this contract for hire for her husband.
Yeah.
Maybe she hired someone to kidnap Kyron, to use him as a pawn, just in case things didn't work out one way, that she would have some kind of leverage. Whatever she's doing this for is for her own selfish interest. And if you even check out her body language, there's no real concern for him or even her husband or the other one,
All right, Dr. Dale Archer, I'm going to give you the last word on this. We only have 20 seconds.
Well, I think that we have to think in terms of options here. And if she was trying to get at the husband and the murder for hire failed, the option of taking the little boy is something she could have done on her own. She didn't need help for that. So that needs to be considered strongly.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, she is not officially considered a person of interest, and she's invited on our show or her attorney to explain her side anytime she likes. Fantastic guest. Thank you so much. From one missing child to another. Beautiful little girl. Snap.